We've reached the final part of this The Witch Farm series. I really enjoyed it, and my sister Becca here.
Hello, yes.
Have you enjoyed it? The
Yeah,
journey?
really
Right.
enjoyed
But before we wrap it up, I just want to say to people, you can subscribe to this channel where we do investigating the rest of the year. And there's also Talking Paranormal, where we talk to people, even TV celebrities so far, about the paranormal, podcasters, things like that. You can also check out our Facebook page if you want to talk to the team, and anything else. Okay, without further ado, I don't exactly know what ado is, but I know when I've had enough of it, and there's not enough of it. So, the final battle. Danny starts off with a real witch. There's a little bit of a clip, isn't there, of a real witch? But he does it in that way that's really like a crow coin and a hubble bubble sort of way. And it's like, well, straight away you're playing into that stereotype that is the problem.
Yeah, your typical evil witch.
Yeah, spellcasters or white witches or anything like that. Wiccans, and they don't want that label.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how he starts off, and it is a dramatic, ghostly podcast, so you can see why. Yvette Fielding, even her daughter Mary, she's learning spells and stuff. And on her podcast, Yvette will like dabbling with her. It's not nasty stuff. It's, it's all like for good luck and things. It's a good.
Yeah, it's more of just like it's a stereotype, isn't it?
Similar with the way that we use Ouija boards, and you get such a wave of the evil. You should never do that.
Yeah, so negative and dangerous.
That's not my experience. I get you, but it's not my experience.
Yeah.
Anyway, 6 years into this witch farm being haunted, March the 13th, 1995, Eddie Burks comes on the scene, and we finally have a ghost hunter like us. He turns up, and he explains that he describes it as the paranormal's like a mirror. You basically project into it what your views are. So when you've got a bishop from a church, he will be saying you're up against demons and angels need to be on your side. And he even sort of said that mediums will come and say the dead talk to us. It's just that's their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I can understand that, and I do like that analogy because it's the mirror thing is like, yeah, I get that.
Makes sense, yeah.
So Eddie says, what I do is I open a door to the spirit world, and I just listen.
Yeah.
We kind of try and do that with the Ouija board. We say, tell us, did you have kids and stuff,
It asks us questions, like we've.
Yeah, you started that. That was a good idea.
It works, doesn't it? Like it does. It tends to work.
Yeah.
And it's a good, like, the listening thing is a good way of doing it, I think, especially if there's stuff going on.
So he's obviously a medium. That sort of made that point clear. So he comes in and he sits down and he just like opens himself up, which I'm all for. Now there was a similar case in 1993 at Coutts, which is the royal family's bank, and there was a headless ghost which sent electrics crazy. So and computers and phones. Robert McDonald, the artist friend of Bill, who we heard about before, he reads about this in the newspaper and reaches out to Eddie, thinking, oh, this guy might be able to help. He did such a good job for the Royals.
Yeah.
So Eddie comes, he communicates with Thomas Edwards, which is the guy who was murdered on Covent Goody Farm.
Yeah.
And he says that the other one is a bit harder to get. The other spirit, the darker spirit, is going to be more of a difficult conversation. So Thomas Edwards, the spirit, is relaying through Eddie, and he's saying, I was meeting a girl who never showed up, and I took the shortcut home past the original Hale Vanog farm, and there's a group of people there, and they had a woman there, and they were doing something terrible. Never specified, but there's a dramatic scream on the audio.
Yeah, no one knows what that is.
Yeah. So he runs home, he witnesses something, runs home to Cwm Goody, which is like, okay, there is a link, spirits from the sort of this murder case where they thought someone was involved.
Yeah, we just didn't quite know what that link was, did we, at that point?
No, we were like, what's the relevance here? But Eddie's saying those two spirits are in this house.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll come back to that, actually. I told James Griffiths in the morning, which he's the guy who held the axe to kill Thomas.
Yeah.
The following night, I got really drunk and told the whole pub, which obviously got back to the culprits, who then had to silence me.
Yeah.
Do you silence someone after the whole pub knows?
I would have. So this is what I was thinking. I thought if it was that terrible and you were desperate for nobody to know, you would have almost surely done it instantly. If you have that many people, there's not many people, and yeah, I think once everybody knows, you have to silence the whole pub.
So it's burning on his mind, and he's got to tell people, and he's grassing them up to whoever. I saw them and this woman do whatever he saw, and he's not ringing the police though. He's not,
Yeah,
it's for the police saying I saw them with a woman doing something.
Yeah, and I suppose it's hard, isn't it? Because we don't know what it was. It's really hard. But I think the last thing I would almost I'd be scared to tell people. If I knew these people were that bad, I wouldn't be shouting my mouth off to the whole pub.
That's my point. He's not scared to tell the police because he's just telling anyone who'll listen.
Yeah, seems a bit strange.
He tells the whole pub, so they have to silence him. They forced James, who wasn't even involved, so they don't even just silence him.
They go to somebody else.
You know, they've done something horrific, be it blood ritual, rape, whatever, and then to solve their problems, they go to some other guy, involve him.
They don't just do it themselves.
No, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it seems a bit far-fetched to me.
So they like some sort of gangsters. They forced James to kill Thomas, or James himself will be, and his family will be killed.
Yeah.
Fair enough, if that's what the story is. Thomas's spirit through Eddie is saying that James was blubbing and saying, "I'm so sorry," you know. You can understand that dilemma that's put forward. James, the darker spirit, he didn't speak out because the group cut a deal for his silence. So they went back to James and said, right, if you've done the deed and we'll get you off the punishment.
Yeah.
They must be like, I don't know, you know, they own a big farm. Is that like they've got Mason connections and they've got the power? However, they threw him under the bus, and he said even as his noose around his neck, he was expecting to get off. How do they know that?
Yeah, I know, and almost like a pardon right at the last second, and
yeah, maybe he wrote that down or something. I don't know. It just doesn't scan to me.
Yeah.
I say what else is, you know, right? So we've got these two boy spirits at the house in the farm.
Mm.
Well, let's go back to the beginning. One spirit is in slippers.
Yep.
Who obviously lives there. I would say that's a given.
Yeah.
Then one's in heavy boots. Fair enough. We don't know who that is. We've got Marion sat in the armchair who lived there.
Yeah. They saw.
And then there's these lads.
They saw one shadow figure, didn't they? So in my mind, is that one of them? The shadow figure? Like, is that, you know, is that him? Is that, I don't know. It's hard to know.
Yeah. Now, Eddie says, no wonder they've been haunting this place.
Yeah.
Like, what's the connection, really? I know one of them might used to work there and that, but we've used Ouija boards, right? And we know it is like moths to a flame. And I think that's much more, we're not far from, we open a Ouija board, we project our white light, and they come. Now, the ones that are in the house or the location are there instantly. Ones that are a little bit further away can come later on in the night when the first one's tired. We've had many times in a certain location that we go, the same woman be pulled and be like, "What do you want? It's you again.
Leave me alone."
Yeah, and we're like, "What? Have we pulled you here?" He's like, yes.
It must be infuriating, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is weird. So I think that's more likely to be the boys, that when you, being a medium or opening up directly with spirit, you draw the near, you're just flagging up the white light in their darkness, saying, "Come here."
Yeah. And I think so that for them to both be at Hale Fanog. So do we? Because I thought on the last one that Thomas was killed at Cumgoody Farm.
Yes.
So
definitely.
then why? So then for me, why would they both be at Hale Fanog? Surely the death happened at the other place. The traumatic event happened at the other place. Yes, we know that Thomas saw something apparently at Hale Fanog, but that doesn't make any difference. Just to me, if anyone was going to be haunting that place, it would be potentially the people who've done awful things there, or who to be haunting that place seems really weird.
So I've seen some threads with you talking there that there was a thought that James the killer actually was filling in for a lad up at Hale Vanog who was supposed to be doing down at Cumgoody. So basically, if those are the people pressurising him, they'll be like, Sam's meant to be working with the guy you're killing, but you go instead. So there is a killer send him instead of Sam to go and do the deed. So it's like, yes, the deed is formulated up there, but it's actually executed at Cumgoody Farm.
It's hard to know. Like it just almost seems like the connection just isn't strong enough for me. It just feels almost, well, we don't know what really happened, so this connection's good enough, kind of thing. We'll just go with it.
Yeah. So then it goes over to Kieran and Evelyn, and they're sort of saying that Eddie did seem to publicly fix the bank situation. It's in the papers and everything. And he does seem to quieten down the spirits. But I just think, well, yeah, because he spoke to him, that generally, I don't doubt his ability. He's tried. The very fact that he goes and he tries to talk to them might be of some help,
And going in and saying, "Get out this house."
Yeah. So everyone's sort of back to normal again. And
Kieran does say, doesn't he? He's very clear in saying that he thinks it's all made up and it's not true.
Yeah, Kieran touches on the exact point I was going to make next, that Eddie surely knows and can read in the media all about this case. That's what you turn up and you can spout off really well. Bethan found all the facts, the historian, so why couldn't Eddie do just the same thing?
And it's unusual, I think, for Kieran to be so direct about it.
Yes.
He said he was making it up. And I've never heard, Kieran's usually a little bit, he's careful with his words, but he did say, didn't he? I think it's a load of rubbish, basically.
Yeah. Now, I'm not about to strip down mediums, okay? I love the idea that they can do it. I have had, though, my point is I've had 4 or 5 mediums. Obviously, we're in this business, and when they come and investigate with us, they're very quick to try and get me on board that they have, and they start tell me something. But it always seems to be the same one fact, and that's that my brother is Paul. And I'm like, well, I know my brother's Paul, and I'm like, thanks, Facebook. Do you know what I mean? What else?
You want something that nobody knows, don't you?
Yeah. You want me to go, my brother is Paul, my God. Do you know what I mean?
You want things like when we've had things through and, you're like, oh my God, how did the spirit know that?
Yeah. The amazing things we've had,
like
why don't mediums just say better things because we know they're there?
Yeah, like when Alice did with the shoes for the first time that day and it come through and been like, buckle the shoes, you know.
And you were like, oh my God, that's specific and nobody knows it.
Nobody knows. Literally happened like a couple of hours before, yeah. That's the sort of thing you want.
But then there's a really good point that Bill and Liz do start seeing lots, dozens and dozens of spirits. A doorway is open, so I can't really comment on that in that we close the Ouija board down or whatever and close that doorway, essentially.
Yeah.
The surely mediums do the same in their own way.
Depends though, if he went there, let's just being totally frank, if he went there and didn't really know what he was doing, and was a bit, had Googled it or whatever he'd done, and then actually did open something and didn't close it because he didn't know what he was doing. I guess it's quite, it could happen like that.
Maybe he opened it and thought, I'll leave it open for them to go.
Yeah. Maybe.
Oh no, a medium's going to know an open doorway.
You wouldn't do that. If you knew what you were doing, you would never do that.
No. But yeah, they literally, Liz is like seeing people horrifically face mashed in. And that's got to be terrifying, you know. Obviously, yeah. Kieran thinks it's suggestion. You've had 6 years of this and you think it's sorted and you've got all these stories being put your way. That, yeah.
Only suggestion, I'd be thinking, well, it's done, it's gone, it's sorted. Like, I'm sorted.
Yeah.
So your mind would potentially go the other way.
It would actually, yeah. The next thing is that the electricity meter starts whirring again, and they're like, "Oh no, please!" You know, like every good house cleansing, it only lasts a while.
Yeah, here we go again.
Now this reminds me that Danny started this whole thing saying the house has been the most exercised, house ever, and I still think surely you mean cleansed.
Yeah.
You exercise a person. I've never really heard of a house being exercised, unless I'm mistaken.
I guess I understand what he means. Like it's moving that spirit house.
Yeah, I understand that.
He obviously just it's a straight. It's not the word that I use.
He actually said the most exorcisms.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool. Bill gets to his big confession, which is not that great a confession. He says he was a witch.
Yeah.
After he graduated, and the guy who was house sitting in the basement flat was called Alex Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea who Alex Sanders is?
No.
Now, I was surprised that I never heard of it. However, I do remember news articles being about satanic stuff, but this is a different era, probably. I think it is right in the 60s and stuff, but...
It was a pretty big deal by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I've seen things like that, I say in the 80s, but you get like Daily Mail that go crazy on something like that.
Yeah.
They just don't understand it.
Yeah.
So his craft name was Verbius. I mean, you start to go, okay, we're making up silly names for ourselves.
Yeah.
He created Alexandrian witchcraft. It's named after him.
Okay.
He worked as a medium before starting his own coven, and so he got tutored by these two lasses who were from a different type because he made up his own. Yeah. So they're from this one before, and they actually have a fallout. So they're always slagging him off, you know what I mean? So yeah, in the 60s he was called King of the Witches, and pop stars and celebrities would come to him to try and elevate their careers, get like powers, and and all he's saying to Bill is, I am offering to make you a success. I've got a way to tap into the earth's energies, but you might have to drop a bit of blood into a glass or whatever, and it's a bit witchcrafty. But when you look into it, as I have, it's completely misunderstood from the context of what it sounds like to what it actually was.
Okay.
So, yes, he is stripped. Yes, he's blindfolded, and they read incantations, and the door is open. And he sort of goes, stop. I don't want to do it.
Really quickly, I'd like to know what it was at that point when the door's open and he suddenly says, stop. Like, what was it, I wonder, that made him, actually, I don't want to do this anymore?
Because it's the opposite. It's opposite of do you accept Christ and all his teachings. It's do you accept the powers, the dark powers that are going to... And he's got this sword stuck on his heart.
Yeah.
He's got these two nutters from downstairs probably thinking that, and he's probably thinking, I'm naked, I'm discombobulated.
Totally.
It's suddenly like, no, this is weird. And he just like, he goes, you know what? You can keep it. Yeah.
By all accounts.
So, cut to modern day. Now, Maxine Sanders, wife of deceased Alex, is 20 years younger. And I'm going to flash up images of her modern day and previous. So she's very glamorous. I've never seen a worse website than Maxine Sanders.
Really?
It's like she needs a web designer. Anyway, on there it says priestess of the goddess, initiated, consecrated, and dedicated to the work of witchcraft. You flip further. Maxine has spent 50 years developing her intuitive faculties. During that time, she has helped hundreds of people seeking clarity on personal and emotional issues, wanting insight into business matters, or searching for life direction. And then you're like, well, that's all right.
Sounds quite nice.
What's the problem? Witchcraft isn't all about blood. You know what I mean? It's not all about that. It's just like Scientology, that they think up an above power is you're able to tap into it and get success. And it has worked for Tom Cruise, to be fair.
Yeah. And in John Travolta as well. He's a Scientologist.
Travolta, yeah. We've heard of him. Now, I wanted to mention at this point the satanic temple. Now, immediately when you hear things like that, oh, Satan. Now, my son, as you know him, he's a member of the satanic temple. He read the tenets. He says, Dad, send off my money. I want to join that. And he was spouting off, and he'll tell you the tenets here. He says they are a real decent thing. All they are is anti-Christianity. They're like, if you can put religion in our schools and force it down our throats, then surely every other religion can put their version and shove it down our throats as well. Why is it just it's all that imbalance. That's all they're fighting.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why they were saying, if you can build a statue of God and Jesus and all this in every park, we'll put a goat, we'll put Baphomet or whatever, the dark one. It's like, and they're only picking whatever the Christians don't like to piss them off.
Yeah, it's a more.
But the point is, why are you allowed to do that? So we'll do that as well. You can't erect a statue to the devil. It's like, well, you can. Why can't we?
What's the difference?
So they just basically went up. But the tenets of the Satanic Temple, the 7 tenets, one should strive to act with compassion and empathy towards all creatures in accordance with reason. You know, if a dog bites you, it needs chastising or whatever. You know, but there are instances where serial killers, you're expected to like.
But that is not that first point. Even is not what I expected.
No, the second one. The struggle for justice is an ongoing and necessary pursuit that should prevail over laws and institution. You know, it's like good should prevail. You should be nice to people, no matter what. One's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. In other words, never to be infringed or dishonoured. Abortions. Christians are like, you can't do it. It's like, it's my body. I will do what I want.
Yeah.
Number 4, the freedoms of others should be respected, including the freedom to offend. To willfully encroach upon the freedoms of another is to give up your own.
I like that. That's a good one.
Beliefs should conform to one's best scientific understanding of the world. One should never distort scientific facts to fit one's beliefs, and that's squarely aimed at Christianity.
These are good.
Yeah. Number 6, people are fallible. If you make a mistake, rectify any harm you caused. Basically meaning you don't go to church and say 3 Hail Marys and never apologise.
Confession and it's all right.
Yeah, it's like, no, you literally go over and make it right.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Every tenet is designed to inspire nobility in action and thought, and those are what the Satanic Church stand upon. And they have been preaching equality amongst men and non-sexism and all this woke stuff years ago.
Yeah.
Not like gay marriage, you shouldn't give it. It's like, do what you want. And
I never see, for me, the word like Satanist and like anything satanic, I instantly, in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, evil, awful, scary.
Yeah.
But when you listen to that to me, those points are just decent points.
Yes, but there is the other branch, not a branch, not to do with that, but Satanism can also mean properly black magic, sort of voodoo-y, you know, a very dark.
Which surely doesn't align with the points, though.
It's not them.
Yeah.
The two are not the same. The Satanic Temple is one thing, and there's an edge of Satan, but they don't practice Satanism.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people just think that, you know, they hear the word Satan and Satanism, they think it's all the same thing, but they're very different.
But that seems to link, those points seem to link quite nicely with her, what she said about, you know, being basically making people's lives better is what she's in.
Yeah. So yeah, this Maxine, all she's doing is like what any tarot card reader does, or any crystal worker, is try and help people out.
Yeah.
Now, that's all we try to do to Bill. Anyway, Maxine confirms that one person did say stop, and she's always thinking about that guy, like that one guy. Wonder what happened to him.
Yeah, interesting.
She says he was a well-balanced young man, but too innocent, you know, a bit naive, obviously a bit boyish, and just freaks, and, you know, ran, which is fine. Yeah. And she said it can turn your mind. And I'm like, yeah, because if you're really thinking you're summoning some dark power, yeah, the psychology of it is just going to make you bent out of shape, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary.
Power of belief of what was I doing? How close did I get? And like, if anyone's heard of the Philip experiment, that's proof that you can create an entity of energy. Are you aware of the Philip experiment?
No, I'm not.
It's really interesting because what they did was effectively invent a story to a group of Ouija board users in an experiment, as I said. Right, we're going to try and contact Philip. And they did contact Philip.
Yeah.
And they did get answers from him, and he was completely made up. But Philip could only give answers to questions that the team knew the answer to.
Yeah.
Is it right that you did, you know, they got figures that, what did you do? And did you do, how many did you do? It all worked out. But anything that they didn't collectively know, neither did Philip.
Interesting. And that's where, you know, you've got the Ouija board session we did in York with Norma. That's where I find that fascinating, because none of us had any idea who Norma was.
Yeah.
Anything about the case, the crime and everything that she was involved in. And you had Jill on the sidelines on the internet asking the questions, and us all on the glass with absolutely no idea what was going on.
Yeah. We also had that in the police station at Keighley, where the woman from Haworth had jumped out of a balloon. She was a balloonist, and her parachute didn't open. And she's telling us that her grade's wrong. And when you look at the dates, you're like, oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?
Her age was wrong, wasn't it?
Her age is wrong. Weird. But yeah, the Philip experiment is really good to look into, because it even affects like physical things, like being touched. It's like we made it up.
Gosh, that just shows how manipulated your mind can be.
Yeah. Kieran says the psychology of the pullback will haunt him, the sort of how close did I get? And I can understand that. And I understand why you kind of don't think about it anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
But I simply do not think that this farm thing is a case of Bill's manifestations of this troubled mind.
No, I don't either. And I think, but I can see completely how it would come back in his mind and be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, what I messed with.
Yeah, this is because of what I did. You'd have that guilt almost. And he did also have, I think, somebody say to him before that it's you, it's not your son, it's actually you. You've brought them here.
Yeah.
No, but you can see why he might actually start to believe that.
Yeah. Ultimately, Bill goes down, they divorce. He drinks himself to death. He had a drink problem. And even when asked by Danny, do you think it's like, you know, the farm and all that? She's like, no, it would drink.
Drink killed him. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, that whole thing didn't help. But so I boiled it down to my personal thing was footsteps were heard.
Yeah.
Sightings, apparently.
Multiple.
And a sense of dread. And they never got to the bottom of it, as far as I can tell.
I know. I feel like it's not solved.
No. It's like, yeah, these things happened in the area. It was rich on witchcraft. But all I'll say that's so solid, I believe she saw things. I believe that she heard things.
Yeah. She seemed really she seemed really believable. Like, I feel like she's quite logical, and
Yeah.
she sounds pretty straightforward.
Mm.
But it's hard to know, and I think I'd love to know from the owners who live there now if anything happens and anything's going on.
So obviously there is somebody living there now, isn't there? Did Bill and Lizzie's energy, as we know, some people seem to have more energy than others, did that just stir up some spirits that were in that area? And, like the woman that Marion was over, who already lived there, maybe the woman before wasn't at all experienced.
She had issues with the radiators though, didn't she?
Yeah, but the one before.
Yeah, so I mean, like, things were already happening.
Fair point.
Before they moved in.
That's true. If that's to be believed.
If that's true, if he was as much of a perfectionist as he said he was, then it seems like things were always happening.
So I don't blame Bill at all, personally. I don't think it's a witch farm. I don't think there's anything related to witches at all on that farm, as far as I can hear.
I don't. I think Kieran's point about people seeing pictures of, ladies with hats and putting it in witches.
Yeah.
A few episodes ago was a really good point, because you would look at them and think they're witches. And then in another sense, if you are looking at those pictures before you go to a farm and you're mediums, you've got to question why you were doing that. Like, just go with it in mind.
Yeah. I think there's a lesson in this about how we shouldn't judge witchcraft, druidism, all these things. Whatever you don't, if you're not a practicing one, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely, and it has got negative connotations, but not everybody practices that type of.
Yeah. I've met lots of people, especially early on, who were saying, I'm a witch, I'm a white witch, and I do all this herby stuff. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. There's so much we don't know about. And I think the more I learn about stuff, the more I'm like, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah. I think the more you listen to things and look at things, it makes you realise I'm like, personally, I am way out of my depth. Like, I don't know anything about anything. I just come along and put my fingers on a glass and I quite enjoy it. Like, I don't know anything. And I don't feel like I'm in a position to say whether, mediums are, real, and, I don't know, talk about certain witchcraft. And I do you, and if it works for you, it works for you. And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, this is the final episode, it seems, but there will be a live audience with Liz and Kieran and Evelyn, which I'm looking forward to over Christmas.
Yeah.
Whether we will be able to add anything to that as a bonus, I doubt. But yeah, I've enjoyed it, and I think you have. So
yeah, enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
So if anyone wants anything more like this, please leave a comment on the YouTube video. I'm certainly up for doing something like this again. That's about it. So thanks for watching. We'll waste more of your time. Thanks, Becky. I've had a great time.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for it. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Right. See you later, everyone.
Bye.